This show is a proud member of the Bat Squad Network. For this and other great shows, head over to batsquadnetwork.com.
This is Geek Revolution Radio.
A show for geeks by geeks. Hello and welcome to another edition of Geek Revolution Radio. I am your host, Ryan Bennett, and with me, as always, is Mr. William Hatton.
What's going on, everybody?
Hey, welcome to the show. This is a big episode. We finally hit episode 150.
Man, it's crazy to think about. I can't believe it's already 150.
It's hard to believe we've done that many shows, right?
Yeah. I'm like trying to I mean, you got to think of it. There's been so much geek stuff to cover and there's still much more to go. So it's fun. I love it.
Well, it's weird to think about because, when we started this show, I don't know. I just wanted to get to episode 10, Yeah. And if you add in we did a lot of Walking Dead specials and Game of Thrones specials and stuff like that. So if you add those in, I'm sure I think we've done about 24 non-episode versioned episodes. So, that puts us somewhere in the 175 range. So
yeah, I believe it.
It's crazy. I wonder how many, I've never looked back, but I wonder how many me and you've done together.
Yeah. I mean, I'm
well over 100.
Yeah. I'm looking at the site now to see if we can trace it back. Cause I think I probably didn't jump on until August.
It's probably around episode 15 or 20.
Yeah,
pretty early on, but
yeah, it was fairly early on.
Man, it's been fun though. I really enjoy getting on here every week and talking, getting the geek out a little bit, and we hear a lot back from our listeners too, which is always fun. And we've met a lot of friends. Our friends that do the Bat Squad Network with us. These are all people that I feel like I'm really close with, and probably wouldn't be friends with otherwise if it wasn't for this show and people supporting it over the years. So
yeah.
Wanted to give a shout out to all you people listening. I don't know who all of you are, but thank you very much for listening to our show. And if you want to interact with us, we're always on Facebook, facebook.com/Geek Revolution Radio. You can find our show exclusively on the Bat Squad Network at batsquadnetwork.com. Man, there's some good shows up there. I don't know if you've listened to the Fantasy Football Guy podcast yet, but Mike T from the other Mikes, he basically gets on there and talks for an hour by himself. I don't know how he does it. I can't do it.
Yeah, I've done it interspersed between music, but I've never talked for an hour straight by myself.
Yeah, and his show is really good. If you haven't listened to it, go over to Bat Squad Network and check it out, because he does, he goes through and basically lays out everything you need to know about fantasy football if you're going to play this year, and also gives a lot of insight into things that I didn't even know about, players and teams and trade acquisitions and, injuries and stuff that are going on. So I actually reached out to him this week because me and Will, we've been playing in the Shiva Fantasy Football League for, I've been playing, I think, for 5 or 6 years now. And you've been probably playing for 4, I think.
Yeah, I thought about it today. I was trying to remember when the first time I played fantasy football. And I remember playing in 2004 with my cousins. It was just 3 of us. So it was me and 3 others. So it was a 4-person league, which I highly do not recommend doing something small. I mean, it was fun. It was a good entry into the game, but it definitely grew from there.
Yeah, I played in a 6-man league, and the waiver wire is way too deep. It's hard to decide who you're going to set for your lineup every week.
Right.
I kind of think we've been playing in Shiva, like I said, for a little while. We play in what are we up to? Are we a 10 or a 12-man?
12-man league.
12-man league. We're a standard league. We don't do the points per reception. We're a pretty basic league for the most part as far as our rules go. But, man, it's fun to play because everybody that plays has been playing. As a matter of fact, I think, Will, you're the newest other than one other guy, I think you're the newest member to the league. So
yeah, and I've been in the league for like
4 years, I think. Yeah,
3 or 4 years. Yeah.
So
yes.
Everyone that plays is super serious about it. We bet money. We have an amazing trophy, which is actually my dad plays in the league, and the trophy's sitting at his house right now. He won it last year. So
oh wow.
I've gotten close. I've taken third and second place every year I've played except for one. So
I've been second 4 years in, and I don't think I've even made the playoffs. It's just it's you're right. It's very competitive, and it's like there are like 12 or 11 other people that are into it. It's not
that are
like
gunning for that trophy. Yeah,
right. You don't like because I've played in fantasy leagues with other people that you've got like if in a 10-man league you might have like 6 people that are actually taking it serious.
Yeah,
which is always kind of frustrating because. Then like 4 people you play aren't even paying attention,
Yeah, they don't even set their lineup or anything.
Right. So like with this, it's like, even you don't want to take last place. You don't want to be, the Sacco.
Yeah. I think that's what helps our league keep everybody competitive is not only do we have a first place trophy, but we also have a last place trophy, and it's a medallion. I've actually seen it. It's hanging in my brother's car right now because he's the Sacco. It's basically a little medal you hang off of your rearview mirror that says "I suck at fantasy football."
That's funny. Yeah, I've gladly in the 4 years have managed to also avoid the
Sacco.
bottom tier. I think last year was the worst year I've had, and I think I came in like 10th place. So.
Well, good luck to you tonight. Like I said, we're doing our draft, and man, I'm just excited that football's coming back. My TV will get used again.
Yeah.
It feels like it's been like, well, it's too hot to go outside, and it's too hot to to do really anything active at all. Even go to the pool, So I'm gonna stay inside, but there's not really anything to watch either. Although the focus of this episode is going to be the Marvel series that are on Netflix. We're talking Daredevil, Jessica Jones, some of the stuff coming out in the future. That is something that I have had a chance to watch over the summer as it's been too hot to go outside. Man, they're putting out some fantastic shows.
Oh my goodness, it's incredible.
Oh, so good. But I'm excited for football to come back. I'm excited for college football. I don't get a chance to live where I went to college, much like you will, but I'm very patriotic when it comes to my college. So
your alma mater,
my alma mater. So I get to really wear that out in the football season. And Utah football is always really fun to watch because last year we were ranked as high as 3rd at one point in the nation, and every year it's like it's right there for our taking, and then something happens and we muck it up a little bit, but we always end up doing pretty well. I think they've landed in the top 25 the last, 3 or 4 years at least.
They've definitely come a long way, and I'm glad I started going to school there when they really.
Oh, it was so much fun when we went to school there because Utah was just joined the Pac-12, which is a big conference, and we were playing lots of really good teams. We got to see a lot of really good games, and I don't know. I'm just excited, and it's the way I like to spend my Saturday nights is watching college football, and I'm getting really excited for it. I'm not particularly happy that Utah has kind of taken the lower road. It seems like, and they play a certain number of non-conference games every year, and the non-conference games kind of give you a chance to either lock in an easy win or play a harder team that's in a different conference to bring legitimacy to our own conference. Mm-hmm. And I got to tell you, Utah has got to have one of the weakest non-conference schedules I've ever seen. The first game they're playing on Thursday, September 1st, is going to be the equivalent of playing a high school football team. They're playing Southern Utah University. And for those of you who don't know, I could even tell you the city that university is in Utah, and nobody listening to this that doesn't live in Utah will have no idea. It's in Cedar City. And most people are like, where? What? Huh? I don't even know where that's at.
I lived in Utah, and I barely know what that city is. I couldn't point it out on the map.
Dude, I didn't even know they had a football program until I saw the schedule come out for this year. Because this is the first year we've played them. I'm like, Southern Utah? Like, what?
Yeah, and I think a lot of schools, the first game of the year, it's totally a cakewalk. I think a lot of big schools do that.
That's true. But the other problem is that we're also playing our other non-conference games are also cupcake teams. I mean, BYU being one of them. BYU decided to go independent and hope. So we've signed up to play BYU for, I don't know, at least 4 more years. And there's been talk of BYU joining one of the big conferences, and I hope that they do, because if they join one of the big conferences, then that game is worth something to us. Right now, it kind of goes back to what we were talking about last week, where when we were talking about, a couple weeks ago when we were talking about movie critics, Utah playing BYU, they have everything to lose and nothing to gain because it's an unranked team, Yeah,
well, hey, like here in Lubbock and there in Austin, there's the Big 12.
Yeah.
Big 12 has been talking a lot about expanding, and that's like
that's the conference I think they're probably going to be joining, because they've been saying that the Big 12, ironically, has 10 teams, and they're looking to expand to 14 teams because they don't ever want to have actually 12 teams.
Yeah,
which is funny. But BYU played University of Texas last year. So
like honestly, to me, I think I'm all in favor of big conferences like the SEC, Big 12, ACC. Like just make them big and like make them like conferences that play each other, and all the small teams. I don't know. I never really care. For these small teams, like I never feel like they're really going to have any chance making the playoffs.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
They're definitely not. That's the thing is, unless you're in a Power 5 conference, you're almost guaranteed to not get a hard enough schedule to be able to make the top 2, Even if you go undefeated, there's just very little chance. I mean, even with Utah's schedule this year, if they go completely undefeated, then maybe they will be able to play for the championship in the top 2. But the problem is that they don't play any non-conference games that are very significant. So even at that, like there's no benchmark unless the other teams in the Pac-12 play and beat some of the bigger Power 5 conference teams. Like Utah is just kind of stuck right now with what they've got. And I don't really know what they were thinking from a athletic program perspective, because part of the reason I feel like they joined the Pac-12 is because 1, they wanted to play harder teams, and 2, they wanted to attract better talent. Because when you're in a Power 5 conference, you're able to attract better recruits and things like that. But I just don't see any value in playing so many non-conference teams that are so, just not that good at teams. It feels like I'd like to see them play at least 1 or 2 Power 5 teams that are, near the tops of their respective conferences. But
yeah, I'm like looking at their schedule right now. You're right. Like I'm kind of shocked that they've got these kind of cakewalk of teams.
Yeah.
Like I get that they're going to end up playing a lot of Pac-12 teams, which, that's what they should.
But their first 3 games, Southern Utah, BYU, and San Jose. Like those are all 3 easy wins, and it doesn't mean anything. However, if one of those teams gets hot and beats us, our entire season is over.
Yeah,
like before we even get out of the gates, it's done. Yeah, that's what's frustrating.
To me, when the college finally made the move to make a championship, like a
playoff
tournament, a playoff system, I was very pleased. But I feel like they still need to do more. I think they need to make an 8. I think 8 is perfect.
Yeah, they definitely need to expand to it. 16 would be the best possible scenario. But even expanding 1 more week to 8 would be a way big difference than the 4, because with the 4 teams, it's like a lot of times they get tied down because it's picked by a committee where your rank is.
Right.
And I feel like the committee has too much pressure to put in, certain teams in the top 4, and other teams get left out. A lot of times those teams that get left out are Texas teams, as a matter of fact.
Oh.
I know Baylor kind of got screwed over, and TCU's been screwed over a few times. So
I know. I feel like, it was a good decision to finally make that move, and hopefully, in the next couple of years they'll expand.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll refine the system. I mean, it's brand new, so
yeah.
But I mean, that's why I think people like college basketball so much. Is because they go like 64. We're going to take the 64 teams, and we're going to do it over a month, and we're going to whittle it all down to 1. And it's actually pretty exciting to watch for the most part.
Oh yeah, and that's what football needs to do.
It almost has like a fantasy football type prospect when you're talking about your NCAA brackets. So,
right, yeah, it makes it more enjoyable.
Yeah, but we'll see what happens. I mean, I'm always excited at the beginning of the year, and Utah. I get frustrated when they don't play good, but we have a new quarterback position that's open this year, so Utah's biggest weakness has always been that we haven't had a top tier quarterback like Alex Smith went to Utah, for example. That's current quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs. We've had a couple really good quarterbacks in our history, and when we have really good quarterbacks, we're pretty much undefeatable. A couple of the year that Alex Smith played as a senior at Utah, they went undefeated, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
So it'd be nice to see if we can get somebody in there, that kind of can carry us up over that last hump, because I think the rest of the team we've got figured out pretty well, especially we've got the best defense in the country, in my opinion. So
yeah, it's definitely top tier. Yeah. You're right. Definitely need a better quarterback. I've never been impressed. Like even when I was going to school there like 5 years ago.
Yeah. I hated Jordan Wynn, the guy that was quarterback before Wilson. Oh, yeah, I hated the guy with a passion. I couldn't stand him.
He was kind of a flake.
Yeah. But anyway, that's for all of our Utah friends that listen. Everyone else is like, what now?
Yeah, who cares about football?
I thought this was Geek Revolution Radio. So let's go on and talk about something a little bit more geeky. I bought my first UFC pay-per-view last night.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, this isn't geeky at all, but I figured that all the Bat Squad Network shows have kind of gone on break, and actually, now that I bring it up, we're going to be going on break, I think, till about September 11th. So we're going to take a couple weeks off after this show. But Mike Whittles went out of town, and they didn't do a Knights of the Octagon this week. So I thought this would be a good chance for us to talk about UFC. The big fight last night, of course, was Conor McGregor versus Nate Diaz 2. Conor McGregor, probably one of the best fighters in the sport, at least in my opinion. They fought, I don't know, I think it was back in March. And Nate Diaz got lucky and beat him. They fought last night. McGregor won, but it was a really good fight, I got to tell you. Probably one of the best I've seen. I watch a lot of the amateur fights when they come to town and stuff like that, but I don't watch a whole ton of UFC. But, man, it was worth every dollar I paid because it was a lot of fun. It was a really, really good show. So, anyway, I suppose they're, now that they're tied up 1-1, there will probably be a third fight. So that'll be interesting to see how that goes. And it's always cool watching when you've got a guy like Conor McGregor who not only proclaims to be the best there ever was, but he also kind of walks it a little bit too. And last night's fight, I know you didn't get a chance to see it, Will, but he's one of these guys where they go 5 rounds when they play, and he usually knocks the guy out he's fighting in the first round, and it's usually over.
Wow.
They went 5 full rounds last night, and Conor, one of his weaknesses was exposed in the fact that he doesn't have a lot of stamina to go long, 5-minute rounds. He was really, kind of tanking out of gas towards the end of the second round, and he kind of went to his corner after the second round, and it was kind of a cool experience to see from a sports fan aspect, because you could see him sit down on his chair, between the rounds, and kind of, it was a moment of truth for him where, you could see what was going through his mind, where he was thinking, okay, now I've either got to walk the walk and do what I've saying and be the best that there ever was that played this sport, or I'm going to go out there, and I need to get a second win basically, or I need to go back out there and be tired again. And in which case this guy's going to kill me, because he was starting to come back. Came out and he got throttled in round, Conor got throttled in round 3 by Diaz, but he hung in there and he stayed tough. And then he came out in round 4 and just got that second, wind of energy. And it was really a good, kind of a cool thing to see, because it was kind of reminiscent of one of those times when you're watching the Olympics, or you're watching, maybe the NBA playoffs or the Super Bowl or something like that. And you see kind of these athletes that already play at a pretty high level, but then when they're, down to where they really, when it comes down to it, they're able to even elevate even higher above where they usually fight or where they usually play, and just, do something that nobody's ever done before. And that's, I don't know, for me, that's always been the fun part about watching sports. And it's, oftentimes like why I don't watch baseball during the season, but I watch the World Series, because usually in the playoffs, you see some elevated gameplay that you don't see, in normal kind of the grind of the regular season. So
yeah, no, that's part of the fun of it, I think, is at the top level of a sport is seeing players that push, beyond what like human capability has been, before that point.
Yeah.
I know, it's kind of cool.
Yeah, but man, Diaz, his face is just so prone to bleeding. I never saw a guy get so bloody in a fight. He didn't get knocked out. They went to decision and everything, but man, Connor had so much blood all over his face and his body and stuff, but all the blood that was on him was Diaz's blood. He didn't have any cuts or anything. He was just covered in the other dude's blood. It was crazy.
That's crazy.
Never seen a fight quite that brutal, but it was good. So Olympics, I was confused about how long the Olympics last. I thought it was 3 weeks, but I guess I saw a thing today. It looks like the Olympics are officially over, huh?
Yeah, man, I could care less.
I know.
Oh man, I have not paid attention at all.
Well,
I really
that's the thing that's kind of weird about the summer games, at least for me, is, I'm not a big fan of 90% of the sports they do in the summer games.
Yeah.
Like I watch the swimming. The swimming's, and maybe the only reason I watch the swimming is because the U.S. does pretty well in swimming. I like watching the swimming. I like watching, men's and women's volleyball, whether it's beach or on court. Soccer's interesting unless the women's USA loses in the quarterfinal. Then it's not very fun to watch. But it is one of those things where it just kind of ended silently, and I think the whole thing going on with Ryan Lochte and whatever happened, I think that's
a freaking joke.
That generated more noise than the closing ceremonies, because I suppose if the Olympics are over now, the closing ceremonies would have been last night, but I didn't.
The closing ceremonies are today.
Oh, okay.
So, which I guess for listeners, this will be tomorrow or yesterday.
Yesterday.
But yeah, you're right. The closing ceremonies are probably the least important thing to happen at the Olympics.
Yeah.
Most of the athletes are gone already.
Yeah, that's true. They've already headed back home.
Right. So, I don't know. The Olympics to me have lost any flavor or, excitement that they used to hold, I guess.
Do you like the Winter Games, or do you just not like Olympics at all?
I don't know. I feel like, to me, I can only prioritize sports in so many levels. To me, it goes baseball, football, basketball, and in various degrees of professional and college levels. And then after that, I don't know how much room I have.
You don't have any time in your life to worry about.
The Olympics.
Two weeks every 4 years is just too much for you.
Well, I guess, I don't know. I couldn't get into it. There was nothing that, connected me. I feel like I was more connected, 2 years ago when the World Cup was going on, to see how America was doing, different stuff like that.
That's the same thing, to go back to what I was saying before. I watch zero soccer unless it's the FIFA World Cup. Then I'm watching that crap at work. I love it so much because you see those elevated, crazy, performances from athletes that you just don't see in regular play,
I don't know. I guess just maybe it was something about Rio, something about the bad buzz, bad vibes coming out of there that just.
Well, yeah, Rio was a mess. I don't understand how we go from having a winter games in Russia to a summer games in Rio. What were they thinking?
Yeah. I do remember last Summer Olympics in London, kind of watching the opening ceremonies and getting into the games a little bit. There's maybe it's just because I feel like there's so much that I have a hard time of pinpointing what I want to be interested in.
Right. Yeah, that's true. They did that red zone thing, red zone version of the Olympics.
Right.
That I watched a little archery, and I actually enjoyed the archery much more than I never would have turned on archery, but because it was on, I was actually very interested in it. It was really fun to watch. But there was other things like watching the selling, and the commentators talking about if anyone falls into the water and selling, they're instantly going to be very, very sick for the rest of their life. Cut to the Germans or somebody just tipping over their sailboat. They're going headlong into the water. Germans are pulling themselves back up on the boat, and you can just see from the look in their eyes, they're just completely paranoid about what they just contracted out of that water.
Goodness. Yeah, and that's just a disaster that shouldn't have.
It's so strange to me that they ever do the Olympics in a country that's not a first world super developed country. You know what I mean? Somewhere that can support it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it definitely kind of needs to be that way.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it'll be interesting to see a year from now, the graveyard pictures of where they had the Olympic Games in Rio that have been used for nothing since then. Like we see of the, the Winter Games in Russia. They're like, oh, here's all those places where they did all that, and there's like nothing there. It just looks like an abandoned zombie factory or something.
And it's funny, Beijing's the same way.
Yeah, Beijing built an entire city that nobody lived in. Yeah, you got to admire those guys over there. They're all about I mean, I don't know how they've been going this long and that bubble hasn't burst over there, but they're just, I guess fake growth is still growth until somebody catches on to it, but whatever.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't get a chance to talk about it last week, but a new, another thing kind of sports related. Part of the reason why I was watching the Olympics is because there was a new Rogue One trailer that was going to debut during the Olympics. This is the second time I've had to watch sports to see a new Star Wars trailer.
That's true. That's true.
I don't know what their angle is here, but there I was watching the Olympics, waiting for the Rogue One trailer, and kind of a big reveal at the very end. Darth Vader made an appearance in the trailer.
Yeah, and I don't know. We did a story during our news broadcast for the station I work for, and I posed the question: is like, now that we know he's in the movie, you really don't know how much he's going to be in the movie.
Yeah,
like
it might be one of those things where it's disappointing. Like you want him to be in the whole movie, but then they go like the Joker route where he's like a super side character, and then it's just disappointing.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about. I mean, I don't think it'll be worrisome. I think it'll be exactly what it needs to be. Yeah. I think they're going to tell a really good story, and if Darth Vader's in it, it's because he's important to the story.
I would think so, because I mean, you want to talk? We already talked. I was gonna say, you want to talk about iconic characters? We talked about that as an iconic character like 2 weeks ago, or 2 or 3 weeks ago. So. Go back and check out the Darth Vader episode of Geek Revolution Radio, but
it would be silly to I feel like it would be a bad move by Disney and playing the same cards that, as much as I don't want to admit it, that DC and Warner Brothers have been playing by teasing us with Darth Vader and then only giving us a tease in the movie itself.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know, especially because with Rogue One, it's not like they're planning a sequel to Rogue One. Like the sequel to Rogue One's already made. It's called Star Wars: A New Hope.
Right. So, we already know how that plays out.
Yeah, and Darth Vader has a pretty big appearance in that, but I don't know. It's one of those things where, as great. If they don't make Darth Vader a main character in this movie, it'll be disappointing. And here's why. As much as cool as it is as they're making a standalone Star Wars movie and they're doing, stuff that's kind of in different parts of the timeline, they're introducing all new characters that we are literally never going to see in anything else other than that movie. And, you need to keep to the hits, keep to what you know. Darth Vader being what we know, being, he's the best of that era. And if you're going to make a movie where he can be in the movie because of the timeline, we'd better see some swordplay for sure, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, to me, I think, to me personally, when people complain about Suicide Squad and how much the Joker was in it, I thought his screen time was perfect for what was needed for that story.
For that story, yes.
For me, I then conclude that I want more standalone Joker. I want to see where he's kind of thrive in his own, And there's been kind of rumors and mullings of a Joker and Harley Quinn standalone movie. So we'll see if that happens. But as far as Suicide Squad, I thought it was perfect.
Let me before you move on from that, let me up the ante then. Jared Leto himself this last week has said not only did they shoot enough Joker and Harley Quinn scenes to do an entire standalone Joker film, but Warner Brothers basically lied to him about how much he was going to be in the movie. And Jared Leto himself is very pissed off about how little the Joker is in the movie. He's been very vocal about how angry, he basically is going to war right now against Warner Brothers and the president of Warner Brothers, and is kind of basically,
calling them out.
He's calling them out, and he's leading a lot of credence to what I said on the show a few weeks ago about Warner Brothers is ruining the DC universe.
Yeah, and to me, I don't know. Like, I hope that, you know, if there is any kind of future for Jared Leto, that we do get to see a standalone, and that it's not, you know, the end of that road ends with, you know, his displeasure with DC Comics and Warner Brothers. Because
he doesn't have any displeasure with DC Comics. His complaints were specifically with Warner Brothers and the president of Warner Brothers.
Right. Well,
he had no anger towards David Ayer, towards Zack Snyder, anybody except for Warner Brothers.
Yeah, I don't know. I hope that works out, because I think the fans want a Joker movie. You know what I mean? But to me, Disney with Star Wars, I feel like they haven't done anything wrong. Now, granted, we've only got one film under their belt. I have high expectations, but I also have high faith in the hands that it's currently in. And so when I say that, I don't think that we will get kind of the same thing where fans will be disappointed with the representation from Darth Vader. I do think it'll just be exactly what the story needs.
That's true.
Because I think they're telling a good story, and that's what matters to me.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I'm easy to impress as well when it comes to Star Wars. So.
Yeah. I mean, granted, we've got this will be the 8th film. I mean, we got a lot to sink our teeth into.
It's the 8th film, Will, but I mean, if this thing had gone the way it should have gone, and I'm getting more resentful towards George Lucas kind of as the movies come out, just because I feel like he sat on and ruined what could have been, you know, an amazing film franchise 10 years ago. But you know, we would have been, you know, basically in Avengers waters probably, or Marvel waters by now, had he done the right thing, you know, after Episode 3 in 2005.
I don't know. I think there is a lot of what could have been. I don't know. It's kind of hard to say where it is, and I'm glad.
I mean, that's true, and at least now we're on at least what looks like a good flight path.
Well, not only that, I'm also glad that we're at a point in cinema and visual effects that, you know, I'm glad we're making these movies now and not 10 years ago, because I feel like the quality is really good right now.
Yeah, that's true.
So, I don't know. They've food for thought.
You know, kind of going along with the expanded Star Wars universe, they've cast a lot of the Han Solo standalone film, which is going to be a young Han Solo film. They've cast really a good majority of it. They're looking right now at Donald Glover as a young Lando Calrissian, which will.
I'm kind of excited about that. I love Donald Glover. He's awesome.
Yeah. Well, I love Lando Calrissian. So.
Well, I mean, the reality is they've got to cast somebody. You know?
And they've already got their Chewbacca. The guy that was Chewbacca for the most part in Episode 7 is a younger guy. You know, the original Chewbacca was in some of the scenes in the Falcon, but as far as the walking around stuff, the dude that played the original Chewbacca, he's too old. I should mention also, you know, we lost Kenny Baker this last week. Famously, you know, the midget that played R2D2. He passed away, I think, on Monday or Tuesday. So
yeah, I think it was Sunday, like a week ago.
Yeah. So, you know, these guys are older. They're definitely a lot older, and you know, it's interesting to see. I think it's a good decision to do. First of all, I want to see a young Han Solo film I want to find out how he got the Millennium Falcon from Lando Calrissian.
Right.
And how Boba Fett plays into all of it. Now, that's the part of the casting they haven't been, you know, saying anything about. They have not said a thing about if Boba Fett's in the movie and if they are casting for Boba Fett. Now, there's a rumor that they're casting a woman for some role in the movie, and I got to tell you, Will, it makes me wonder if they're gonna cast a woman as Boba Fett.
That'd be really kind of interesting.
There's no reason not to, right? Like, there was never any point in that movie where it was revealed that the person that was Boba Fett was a man.
Yeah, I mean, we learn from the prequels kind of Boba Fett's origin and a story.
Well, yeah, I mean, but we have to also imagine, though. I don't know. I guess this depends on what ideology you subscribe to in the Star Wars universe. I've always believed that Boba Fett is more. He's not one single person. Like the people, like there's been several human beings that have been Boba Fett. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it obviously started with the clone in episode 2 or whatever it was, but you know, the person that we saw as Boba Fett in Empire Strikes Back was not the same person inside the suit, you know? But
I don't know, that's going down a very deep rabbit hole.
well, it's not really that deep of a rabbit hole. I mean, there's a lot of Star Wars canon EU universe where they dive into, you know, Boba Fett and kind of the Mandalorians and things like that. But
yeah,
I don't know. It'll be interesting. They could really go any direction with it, and you know, like Rogue One, I suspect that wherever they go with it, it'll probably change the context of how we think of the original films, whether we're talking about the prequel trilogy or the original trilogy.
Absolutely, and that's what excites me, and that's why I have high hopes and high faith in Rogue One, because I think it looks great. I think it's going to be a fun movie, and I think it's probably I don't know. Like honestly, if it doesn't live up to the expectations, it'll be a real gut punch.
It'll be a gut punch, but then you're going to get another one in 12 months after that. So
yeah, that's true. That's true.
So you can clean the palate before episode 8. Yeah,
maybe I just go back to the original, the other 7 movies and just enjoy those.
Well, and dude, I'm still not sure that we're gonna have to wait till Christmas for episode 8 next year, because they've already finished post, or they've finished shoot the principal photography. They finished like a month ago, I think it's been now, and usually they only need about a year or so, if that, to finish the post on a movie. And I know at some point they're going to try and shift back to the May release schedule. So episode 8, episode 8's going to be in the can for a while, for at least six months or so before it actually comes out.
I think they're going to stick with the release dates. I think they're going to dominate because there's so limited options during the wintertime. Yeah. It's like the prime time. No real competition, for months.
See, and I'm fine with that. Like I know, but the problem is I know they're trying to eventually get back to the May release date. But I would agree that I think they should stay with a December release date, because for all of us that grew up with Star Wars is already synonymous with Christmas a little bit, because that's when we got all the Star Wars toys, all the Star Wars memorabilia was Christmas. And so having, I don't know about you, but I enjoyed going to Star Wars during Christmas break.
I got together with family, went and saw it, man. It was awesome.
I loved it. Yeah, it makes a lot more sense than having it come out in May and then having, basically, 2 blockbusters that have already come out before it, and then 8 of them coming out after it.
Definitely
kind of stands alone like it should. But I mean, you got to have faith though, Will, that it's going to be a good movie, because literally the best of the best in Hollywood are working on these films. So
right, exactly.
There's nobody higher on the food chain as far as films go than Star Wars right now.
No, I think that's about as poignant as you can make. It's perfect. Yeah. That's it, and that's why we love it,
Yeah, absolutely. So I understand you had some additions to your family this week.
Yeah, so additions to the family. We got 2 cats, which I am absolutely not a cat person.
So you dove straight in, and instead of getting 1, you're like, F it, let's just get 2.
Well, so my wife, she's in this kind of email chain group with women in the community, and somebody was giving away cats, and they were siblings, and the person wanted to give them both away. Mm-hmm. And together, wanted them to keep them together. And my wife's like, we can take them. And at the time I said, I don't know. I'm like, this is almost a month ago, before we even got the cats. And she's like, well, you're changing your work schedule. You'd be sleeping during the day. This might be kind of a hassle for you. But I guess the lady that she initially was talking to reached out to my wife again and was saying, saying that they're moving and they really need to find somebody to take the cats. And so
putting on the cat pressure.
Yeah, definitely. So we broke down and got the cats. And when we got them, they're cute. They're a little, they're a little bigger than kittens, but they're still pretty young. They have like kind of a rambunctious nature, and trying to decide what to name them. And of course, the first thing that popped in my head was Ray and Finn. I was like, that's perfect names. Like, to me, I think it's awesome. So I was like, yeah, let's name them Ray and Finn. And immediately, my daughter Hazel loved it. She's like, yeah, from Star Wars, and she just ate it up. You know how like sometimes like for really young kids, it takes a while for things to kind of click and to remember. She remembered their names right away. So it kind of, it was a perfect naming. So,
that's great.
So we got 2 cats, and I feel very proud that I got to name them and that we named them after Star Wars characters.
So what is your aversion to cats? Are you just not a pet? You're not a pet person? Or?
I'm not a pet person. I'm not an animal person. Like, I don't know why either, because I've had pets my whole life. I remember like having a dog when I was a kid, having cats, numerous cats growing up. And my sister is like, if we're like in the Unbreakable universe and I'm Samuel L. Jackson who hates animals, my sister is the opposite. She's got like she had like ferrets, birds, fish. Like, she worked at a pet store for a good portion of her life. And so like, I don't know, it's just kind of interesting to me that we're like almost just complete opposites when it comes to animals. I've never like hated animals. I don't like have an issue when people have animals. I don't get like super weird around them. I've never been an animal person, a pet person. So I'm gradually becoming comfortable with our new pets. So
that's good. I mean, if anything else, at least you're getting your young daughter exposed to cat dander.
Yeah.
Hopefully 1 won't have asthma and 2 won't be allergic to cats like I am. I have both, and it's, we had... I don't know. I was reading some studies this week, and they were talking about, people that grow up on farms. Basically, none of them have asthma, and their allergens are very, very low. And it's because when they're young children, their immune systems are exposed to, all the garbage that is in farms, and so they were starting some testing. I was listening. This was Dr. Drew telling me this. He said they've started some testing where they're exposing young children to dog feces. And it's showing positive results to children not having asthma. So
interesting.
I mean, that's at least a bonus thing. And meanwhile, I'm looking up like when can I go to a farm around me to get my daughter exposed to it. So we'll see. But that's the only I don't like cats. But the only reason I don't like cats is because I'm I'm deathly allergic. Like, I can't even live somewhere where cats have lived.
We had that same problem with our babysitter for Hazel, or our daycare watch. Like, the girl that's been watching Hazel is the same way. She she'll be fine for a minute, and then like a couple hours later, she's like in the ER room.
Yeah, Sammy's grandma has indoor cats. Whenever we would go over to her house, I was good for about an hour and a half, and then of course, I would have to take allergy pills and asthma and stuff beforehand.
Right.
Inhaler, but I was good for about an hour and a half, and then I needed to leave. But I've always been a dog person. We've got dogs, and I don't know. I like pets. Pets are fun. So.
Well, cool.
Well, should we talk about Netflix a little bit here,
dude? Seriously, it is the prime of, like, the pinnacle of what I think is good in geek culture right now.
Yeah, I would agree, and I don't know, it's hard to say if any other, there are a lot of Netflix shows that are just Netflix shows that are pretty good.
Right.
But I don't think any of them are quite, maybe Stranger Things, but I don't know if any of the other ones are this good as Daredevil and Jessica Jones.
To me, I will stand alone and say that I think Daredevil is one of the best shows ever.
Yeah.
Like, I think it stands up against Breaking Bad, Justified, and to me, the content, it's a superhero movie or show. I get that, but like even alone, just on its merits of being a television show, I think it's one of the best.
It's not that much of a superhero show though, because short of Daredevil being a blind guy, he really he's really Batman, like in a lot of ways, as far as he has maybe a little bit of extra strength, but he's not like Superman or anything like that. But and Jessica Jones, I guess, is a little super powered, but for the most part, the shows focus more on the storytelling and the grit of the violence.
Right. It's like I think you're right. Like Jessica Jones, her superpowers aren't in your face.
You don't even know that she has superpowers till about the 4th or 5th episode.
Right. Daredevil, like his powers involve his ability to, perceive things without sight, which, blind people can't do. But, it's like that isn't always constantly in your face. And when it is presented, it's done in such an, I don't know. I love the sequences when he's detecting stuff through his like extra senses.
I call it spider sense. It's almost the same as spider. I'm like, he's basically just a guy that his only superpower is spider sense.
Right.
He's really good at karate or jujitsu or whatever.
Yeah, and that I think comes from growing up and being kind of brought up in kind of the martial arts.
Yeah, they go deep dive kind of into his origins in season 2. And why he is as good a fighter as he is when they introduce Elektra. But I thought I'd open kind of the discussion about these shows is, something that I've been, I've been kind of late to the game. I watched Jessica Jones maybe like a month ago, and I've just finished Daredevil season 2 like a couple days ago. I'm kind of starting to wonder this question, and I'll pose it to you: is the Marvel shows that are on Netflix, are they better than the Marvel Studios movies?
That like when you like I don't know, like this is kind of like the hardest question to answer because they both have such good quality to them. Mm-hmm. And like quality, I think, is the prime word. There are some Marvel movies that aren't, like top tier, but I would say for the majority of them, they've been really good. They've been enjoyable, entertaining, high quality. Mm-hmm. And I look at the Netflix shows with Daredevil and Jessica Jones, and even like the trailer for Luke Cage, which comes out next month. Like even the trailer has me excited about it. I feel like the content of what they're trying to do on Netflix is perfect. And I also feel like Netflix is letting them do what good storytellers should be allowed to do, and it's just make a good story. Like I feel like Netflix isn't like, all right, you have to do this and then you have to do that.
Our listeners and our promoters and people are buying commercials will want this, and you can't do any of this. You can't show too much of that.
Right.
I think it almost feels like Netflix says, we're going to do this show. Here's a blank check. Please make something great. And artists being who they are, I mean, it works. Yeah, it works. I would say in a big way, and kind of going along with that question, I thought about it a lot, and this is what I landed with. I love the Avengers. I love the first Avengers movie. I think that's probably my top 3 favorite movies of all time.
Right.
Would be the first Avengers movie. There's not been a single Marvel movie that I haven't really liked, especially when you talk about the maybe the first phase of the Marvel films. Like they're really, really good movies. However, if I was to switch the roles and we were going to put Daredevil and Jessica Jones as a movie, and we were going to get Iron Man, Thor, Captain America as TV shows, I would much rather see the TV versions. So in that aspect, that is one way that I think is a decent way where you can make the deciding factor that doing these characters on TV, on Netflix, is better. And I say Netflix specifically because I don't like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. at all.
I watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., it's kind of rough. It's definitely not even close in caliber.
It's too ABC, too primetime TV, But I've always wondered, I know they might not be able to afford him, but Iron Man, dude, doing a TV series with 10 or 13 episodes about Tony Stark.
Yeah, just the Life of Tony. Yeah, I mean,
That'd be amazing, man. It'd be so good.
I think you're right. I think the differences between the two is that you're getting a series with multiple episodes of a long going story. There's more story there. There's more
they have
to
a lot more depth.
sink your teeth into. Yeah. So yeah, I think you're probably right. Like, Marvel needs to, I think, do more to ingrain or develop into the TV show realm. If it would be great for fans. I know tons of people would sign off on it, be excited about it.
Absolutely. And there's been rumors circulating of it, them expanding Star Wars into a television series. And luckily for us, we're at a point where Netflix has like a major deal with Walt Disney Studios and Marvel and all these, and Star Wars. As a matter of fact, they've got a big deal for all of Lucasfilm's movies as well. I don't really want to see a Star Wars TV series that's going to be on ABC. I'm not that interested. However, if they're going to take somebody even as minor as Lando Calrissian or Boba Fett and make a Netflix TV series, I think that's the best possible scenario for
Brilliant. Them. Yeah. I think you're right. I think a network premiere of any Star Wars show will not be as good as it could be on Netflix, on FX, or AMC, or one of the cable channels, or HBO even.
Yeah.
I think you're right though. The relationship that they're developing with Netflix is a perfect partnership.
It is, because my favorite parts, if I had to think about it, of episode 7 are probably how gritty it was in some places. Yeah, they opened the film up with Kylo Ren basically murdering a guy. It's real gritty, and that's probably why episode 3 was always my favorite film. Is episode 3 is super gritty. And I feel like that's kind of like Daredevil and Jessica Jones. These things are made for gritty, and that might be why Ben Affleck and maybe why his Daredevil wasn't that successful, because it was a movie, it was a character that Daredevil's okay, but the beauty of the TV series is the Daredevil is not just about Daredevil, and it's not just 2.5 hours about Daredevil. We get introduced, we get to see the backstories and the reasons behind Kingpin and why he's doing what he's doing. Hell, they introduced the Punisher in the second season of Daredevil.
I think you're right about the network television shows too. In the case of Star Trek, I feel like Star Trek has been doing so well to develop and make fans enjoy the films, but then they're going to take the growth that they've been developing and nurturing over the last 6 or 7 years and turn it over to CBS, which I absolutely hate CBS. I feel like every show that they put out is garbage, and I guarantee the new series is not going to do very well. I mean, maybe it'll do okay because CBS has a niche for bringing in simple minds, I guess, maybe. I don't know. But I don't want to be too insulting, but I just feel like every successful show that they've had.
Well, sitcoms, right? Like CBS is the screensaver of life.
Yeah.
Like human screensavers.
Right. And so I feel like their shows that, aren't sitcoms aren't that good to me, but a lot of people like, NCIS, CSI, some of the other shows that they do. Like it's garbage. And
for me, there's a place for, like, I like The Big Bang Theory. Like, we watch that when we go to bed, but that's the reason that we watch it is because it's, like I said, it's a screensaver for humans, meaning it's something I can watch and not really pay any attention to, get a little enjoyment out of while I'm falling asleep or while I'm trying to unwind from a day. You might not necessarily want to go, make meth with Walter White or beat up bad guys with Daredevil when you're tired and just want to relax a little bit. Sometimes those shows have a good place, but I mean, NCIS and those kind of shows, those for me are just poorly written dramas,
Oh yeah, and that's why Supergirl didn't do well. Yeah. Why they had to trade it off to CW. And I feel like that's what's going to happen with Star Trek. Whereas then I feel like if they had, really cared about the fans and really wanted to make quality product, they would have gone to a network channel. They would have gone to HBO or Showtime or Netflix and said, hey, here's a blank check, make a great product like they've done with Marvel.
Yeah. Well, and I would even, contend that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., when ABC cancels it and Netflix picks it up, will be better.
Yeah, probably.
I'm sure that's where it's going,
Yeah, and to me, I think this goes back to that notion we were talking about earlier about Star Wars, that you've got too many talking heads or too many people at the top of the chain saying this is how it has to be, this is what we need. And I think that's what's wrong with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
I feel like the show had some good potential. Like I watched like the first 3 seasons, and it just feels like if you're bringing in different writers, you're not like I don't know, like the show creator has to be consistent, and I feel like they've just consistently been inconsistent.
Yeah, and the advantage that Netflix has is the same advantage that something like HBO enjoys, where when they're shooting the show, they don't have to think, oh, this scene can't be this long or can't breathe this long because we've got to go to commercial break, or we have to shoot a show or edit the show so that it's this many minutes and this many minutes for the commercial breaks. They can go as long as they want, and the episodes don't have to be a certain specific length either.
Right.
And I think that's been real successful. And I got to agree with you, Will. I think that Netflix allows artists to make good television for viewers because they give them the freedom to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's not so much of the politics, I guess you could call it. I don't know.
Yeah, it's definitely something of being, manipulated to make it exactly what a bunch of people that think is what is best or what's going to sell the most versus the creator, the artist who this is the story that I want to tell. I don't care if it sells. I want to make a.
I'm you mentioned that you weren't so into the CW. I'm kind of careful to bash on the CW because from people that I've talked to about these shows, prior to this week's show at work and things like that, they have all told me that I have got to watch Daredevil. I've got to, or not Daredevil, The Flash. I've got to start watching The Flash. I've got to start watching The Arrow. And I noticed the other day that The Flash season 1 has been added to Netflix, so I'm probably going to start watching those. And I've honestly heard nothing but great things about them.
I will admit I don't want to dog CW. CW is what it is. I've watched Supernatural for probably 10 years. The show's still going.
Yeah.
I love that show, but I know what it is. Like it kind of in the same vein of what you're saying about Big Bang Theory. You know what it is. It's not Netflix, it's not gritty, but it's also enjoyable, entertaining. And I do enjoy The Flash. I've watched the latest season. I've kept up with it. I think you're going to enjoy that one. It's a fun show. The Arrow was good, I think, for a little while, and then I feel like it started to go off the rails. They made some story decisions that I just really didn't like.
I'm just trying to find some way to get into the DC universe because Zack Snyder sure as hell isn't doing it for me. I've been vocal about that, and it's just... I haven't found a real big... I just bought The Killing Joke, as a matter of fact, the comic book, on Amazon and got it delivered. And I'm, waiting for a good time to read it because I've heard this is the best Marvel or DC comic written.
Right.
Because I read Death of Superman. Death of Superman was good. Like Doomsday was enjoyable, but the art, it's so old that the artwork is like pretty dated,
Yeah.
I'm just trying to, I'm not one of these people where I have a vendetta to hate DC. I want to like DC. DC just hasn't done nothing for me to get me there,
Yeah. I think you'll enjoy Flash. It's pretty fun. It's a fun show.
Well, that's cool. So leading into some of these shows, Jessica Jones is a comic book that's a short run comic book.
Right.
As a matter of fact, from what I understand, they've basically not only chewed up every comic there is about Jessica Jones in the first season, but they also went past that quite a bit in the show. So when they kick off season 2 of Jessica Jones, there is no sort, unlike most of these other things, like Daredevil has, probably 60 years of comics that they could pull material from. Jessica Jones is kind of just basically flying on the back of Kristen Ritter.
Yeah, and I think that's a good thing. I think I don't know. Like I watched Jessica Jones like when it first debuted. I think me and my wife sat down and watched it. It's a very enjoyable show. I think to me. I prefer Daredevil over Jessica Jones, but I thought both were really good. I think the arc of the entire story, like you have to watch the entire season. If you only watch like half of the season, like you're not going to get the depth or the full effect as if you're not watching the whole season.
Yeah. We blew through Jessica Jones in like 3 or 4 days. I mean, it was good. We couldn't get enough of that. It was so good.
And it really was. And I love the way that it culminates at the end. I like the way that, that David Tennant as Kilgrave.
Oh, so good.
Like a great villain. It's just like to think about it. There's this character that has mind control and can make anybody do anything. But not only that, but like I felt like as the season went along, you're seeing like there's like these layers of onions that she's having to deal with. Like she doesn't know if there are people around her are manipulated or not because this guy is so powerful.
And then that I think is what makes that show so interesting. First of all, it's great to see that she got off heroin and that she resurrected herself and moved to New York, got away from Jesse Pinkman, all that.
Right,
all that
yeah,
fun
all
stuff.
the bad
I kept waiting for you to make the joke, but you just wouldn't. I had to make the joke. But the villain, I think in Jessica Jones, the villain's far more interesting than Jessica Jones, actually, if you think about it.
Yeah.
Kilgrave is a great villain because his, superpower is anything that he says, that person is compelled and will do. So the greatest part of the show, is like, he was telling certain people, if this happens or if I die or da-da-da-da, then kill yourself or kill this other person. And it's like you said with the Onion, you never knew, like when she finally did, when they finally did have their big battle at the end, I was like, I don't know I don't know if there's some like plane that's going to fly by that's going to nuke the city or something,
Yeah. I mean, he is sinister. Like the things that he did to people, like without thought, like he killed people. No big deal. Yeah. It's just all.
Well, he didn't kill him. He had them kill themselves. That's one thing he was very clear about in the show is I've never killed anybody, but he, plenty of people have met their end through killing themselves or whatever because he told them to.
Well, I mean, that's his point of view to take on that matter. I think he killed those people, whether they did it themselves or at the hand of themselves. I mean, it's just, and that's what's so sinister about this guy is like he can sleep at night knowing that he's not doing these things, but he's telling other people to do them. It's just so devious.
I didn't even know that this was the guy from Doctor Who, by the way, until like before the finale. And I'm like, man, this actor, like he's so good and he's so interesting. Like who is this guy? It didn't occur to me that, oh, this is David Tennant, that guy from Doctor Who. Like that weird British show.
You're making David or Doctor Who fans out there really upset, but
he's such a good actor. I'm giving him props. The fact that the guy can go from doing something as iconic as Doctor Who and then just flip the script and go super dark side and play Kilgrave.
Yeah, dude, super dark.
Great acting chops, man. Just a great actor.
I am a big fan of David Tennant. I tried to get into Doctor Who and really couldn't do it, but like his performance in Doctor Who was at least enjoyable to me. Mm-hmm. Kind of hard to really get into that show. That's neither here nor there.
Yeah. So let's pivot over to I guess the chronological order of the shows is Daredevil season 1, then Jessica Jones, then Daredevil season 2.
Right.
How did you like Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin?
Dude.
I don't know. Were they? I don't even know if they were even calling. They didn't really. I don't think he's even adopted the term Kingpin till late in season 2, right?
Right. I don't think he officially. I mean, if you knew who the guy is, comic book wise, and as a fan going into it, you know who that is.
Yeah.
But
yeah. I call him Kingpin just because that's what he was in the Spider-Man cartoons.
Right. And so I thought his character was half of what's made the first season of Daredevil so good.
Yeah.
Like if they had picked somebody else, or the character didn't really live up to on what we got. I mean, I thought he was. To me, I would argue that I think he is the best representation of a villain in cinema, in TV shows since the Dark Knight with Heath Ledger's Joker.
Oh wow.
I will make that statement. I mean, I pose that question. Do you think that he lives up to or one of the best villains in television or in cinema?
Yeah, I first of all, I think he makes that show.
Yeah.
But I still think that Daredevil and his friends are also 50% of that show, and he's the other 50%.
Oh yeah.
I'll tell you this. I was in the second season of Daredevil, they basically led you to believe that he wasn't going to be in the show at all. Like he's not in the credits or nothing.
Right.
And then about halfway through, he finally makes his grand appearance. And I was when they finally brought him in with the Punisher. Oh, I couldn't wait to see what these guys were going to do together.
Dude, yeah.
I think we need one more season with Vincent D'Onofrio as the Kingpin, and because season 1 was kind of his journey into becoming the bad guy and accepting the fact that he is a bad guy.
Right.
Kind of being like, okay, if I want to do the things I want to do, I'm going to have to just be a bad guy, and he was accepting that kind of there at the end.
Yeah.
Season 2, there's too much noise with the Punisher, and he was only in half of the episodes, and he's been in prison. So it's hard to see kind of his grand vision that he revealed in season 2 of Daredevil, where he says, I'm unlike everyone else in here. I'm trying to get out, and once I get out, this city, I'm going to own this city. That's what I can't wait to see, because the Joker, for example, kind of the same mentality. He owned that city, and he owned that city through fear. And I think that Kingpin's going for a similar thing.
Right. I mean, the reason I say that is I just feel like when you look at characters in movies, and specifically superhero movies, the villain is oftentimes very one-dimensional.
Yeah.
Like I would say that's the one knock that Marvel has. Like the story's good, the main characters are good, but the villains are often, nobody cares.
Nobody wants to see Jesse Eisenberg as the Kingpin.
Right. And like I take Ultron for example. Like his name is in the freaking title, but I didn't really care much for him.
Yeah.
Like he didn't give me shudders. He didn't make me like, when he would do something, I'd be like, oh man, it's getting real.
You're like, I can't wait for Iron Man to destroy this guy.
Right. I mean, and I felt like, Age of Ultron was more about the Avengers coming together and getting past some of their
differences,
the issues.
It was a lead into Civil War, essentially.
Exactly. And whereas, and I feel like the Kingpin, or, his role is probably one of the better in terms of villains that make you just like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, for some, I would agree. Somebody that's like very clearly defined as the villain, and not somebody that's like the Punisher or Walter White, where they're an anti-hero. This is somebody that's like put in a story to be a villain. Kingpin's is definitely, I would say, up there on that list, and is a good contender for Heath Ledger's the Joker.
Yeah.
Especially when you consider, if you're going to, just say people in comic book type shows or movies, he's definitely at the top of that list.
Oh yeah. And I think we talked about it, but I think, David Tennant's Kilgrave is up there too.
Yeah. I'd put him in the top probably 7 at least.
And I think that's why Marvel is killing it with or Netflix is killing it with Marvel, or vice versa, however you want to put it.
Yeah, because to your point, I would agree. I think the thing that was always the most interesting about the DC universe was the villains, and in the Marvel universe, the villains are a little soft. But on Netflix, for Marvel, it's quite the opposite.
Right.
The villains are way better and more interesting than season 2 of the Daredevil might be called Daredevil season 2, but for me, it's Punisher part 1.
Well, I mean, I feel like he probably stole the show a little bit for Daredevil. I think you're right. Like the season could have almost have been called
Daredevil versus Punisher,
or Daredevil and Punisher. You know, because
Yeah.
like you even look at the
logo.
Well, the logo on Netflix, it literally has
It's a Punisher
the
logo.
Punisher. You're right. So I mean, like, who are they trying to fool here? You know, this could have easily been called something else.
Well, and that just goes to the brilliance of John Bernthal, you know, the guy that plays the Punisher, which, you know, until we did this show, I was just calling him Shane because he was Shane in The Walking Dead. And I think for everybody, when they see him, they're like, oh my gosh, it's Shane. At least in the first episode that you see him as the Punisher. And then, you know, he rises. That's the thing, is he's got a real, I think he was, first of all, he was typecasted into this role for sure. But he rose above it. He rose above kind of being typecasted as Shane because he made the Punisher very interesting and far more, you know, maybe his writers made him more of a dimensional character than we anticipated. But the actor himself did, I mean, he knocked it out of the park.
Oh yeah,
to the point where I'm more interested in seeing a Punisher series than the next Daredevil season, to be honest with you.
I don't know if I'd go as far as I'm more excited. I think I'm just excited in general for everything that Marvel's doing on Netflix.
Yeah.
I think you're right that it's going to be enjoyable. I think people are he's gonna kill it just because he did so well in Daredevil. I love the story. I love kind of his coming to, you know, what kind of a person are you going to be, you know, like I like how he comes to the aid of Daredevil, like there at the end.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't do what like you're expecting him just to blind rage, you know, basically do that. And so I mean that's
to go back to what we were talking about before with the Kingpin, you know, a regular everyday citizen like me and you, if we lived in that universe, we would think of the Punisher as a villain, as a bad guy. However, you know, like the Kingpin, well, maybe the Kingpin knows he's a villain now, but he originally, you know, thought he was, you know, he had every reason that he did everything was justified. The same thing is true for the Punisher.
Mm-hmm.
The Punisher just at some point, I guess, makes a choice opposite of the Kingpin where he decides to stick to his morals, where yes, if he's given the chance, he is going to straight up obliterate and murder anybody that had anything to do with the murder of his family that's with those mobs. However, he is going to draw a line, and it's going to be a very clear line on killing regular, everyday, innocent people.
And
he's not a villain. He's an anti-hero, but he's not a villain.
And I think he comes to that conclusion there at the end of Daredevil. I feel like we'll even get more of that with its own series.
Yeah.
And I look forward to seeing what they do with his character if he's at all featured in Luke Cage or Iron Fist. I kind of feel like I was looking for Matt Murdock to just kind of make a cameo in Jessica Jones, and it never happened. I feel like that's one place they failed. They could have kind of connected them just a little bit. Like
they did. The only way that I guess we know the universes are directly connected and they're connected in timeline is through the nurse that's played by Rosario Dawson.
She's in all of them.
She's in all of them, and she's the only one that talks about, oh, I've got this other person I'm dealing with, or oh, you and Jessica Jones. You know, she's the only one that drops Jessica Jones's name in the Daredevil series, and she talks about some people that are you know they're unable to be killed, and I think she might have been referencing Luke Cage, but
yeah, she's like a primary character in Luke Cage. Like she's in this series as well. She's almost like Nick Fury. Like she's putting the team together.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the thing. I don't know if I'm really that. I don't know where I stand on Luke Cage. Are you looking forward to Luke Cage?
Dude, I am. I think the trailers for it look really good. I liked his character in Jessica Jones. I thought like it was something that I wanted to see more of.
Yeah.
So I think it would be good. I'm also kind of excited about Iron Fist. Iron Fist, a lot of people don't know about, and I initially didn't know a lot about. But like he's kind of the same realm as Doctor Strange. Like this magic is his superpower.
Uh-huh.
And so I think it'll be really interesting. They casted a guy from Game of Thrones. There's one. I think I'm trying to remember which character he was in Game of Thrones. Like I'm looking it up on IMDb right now.
Well, so what's the timeline on Luke Cage? Luke Cage is next month? Is that
Yeah,
when it's
literally.
coming out?
Like we're less than a month away from Luke Cage.
Oh wow, I didn't know it was coming that
Yeah, I
soon.
think like the later part of September. So we're about a month away from that. But yeah, he played the Iron Fist played the I don't know, like he was the gay knight. I know that's not the actual.
He was the brother of
The brother.
He got blown up in the temple at the end.
Yeah,
That's what you're saying.
yeah.
The guy that said, I pledge myself to the religion, and then instantly was killed.
And then basically killed. Yeah, that's him. So,
Great time to be baptized, right?
Right.
It's like, I've done nothing. I'm good to go. Forgiven for all my sins, and instantly died. Oh.
Yeah. Well, that's a good way to go. I guess.
I'm really, I don't know, I'll probably watch Luke Cage and Iron Fist, like I said, but I'm really looking forward to the Defenders, which is basically the Avengers version of these shows where they're going to bring all these characters and do a show with them all together called the Defenders. However, you've put on the notes there that it's only going to be 8 episodes. 8 episodes is not enough episodes to tell the first season story of the Defenders, in my opinion.
I kind of feel that same way, but I also kind of feel like that's why we're getting multiple seasons going into it, so that we're getting character development, we're getting, who they are, what they're all about.
But why? But it's still television, though, and that's the thing. Is like the beauty of these shows is they allow the characters to breathe and to interact with their environments and their people that live in that world. Why 8 episodes? Every other show that they've ever done is 13.
Yeah. I don't know. That's kind of peculiar to me that they've just only done 8.
Yeah.
But who knows? I mean, it could be just 8 really, really good episodes.
Yeah.
And I know they're already in talks of future work. This is like I don't think this is going to be the end of the Defenders.
Right.
So I mean, it could be something that if it just is well received, maybe next time it's like 13 episodes or something. I don't know. I just kind of look at it as like, maybe the writers just put together 8 because
they had
that's
8. Yeah,
that
maybe
needed.
Maybe my complaints are unjust because that's the other beautiful part of Netflix is they give the writers the flexibility for the show to be as however many episodes they want them to be, because they don't have to fill a schedule. People are going to binge watch these. And whether they binge watch 8 episodes or 13 episodes, it's really just one long movie. It's really an 8-hour movie compared to a 13-hour movie. And, you don't go to, a comedy and complain that it's only an hour and a half when you're used to a 2.5-hour Avengers movie. So you're right. It might be, just what that first season of that series needed was 8 episodes for the writing.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. And I don't think Iron Fist and Defenders don't have definitive dates. They're just tentative for 2017. So
I'm the most looking forward to Punisher season 1. So,
dude, and I feel like I think Punisher is going to make an appearance in Defenders at the Comic-Con.
Oh, definitely,
trailer.
right? Definitely.
Yeah, at the Comic-Con panel or whatever, they showed trailers for Luke Cage. They showed a teaser for Iron Fist, and they showed a teaser for the Defenders. And I'm trying to remember the guy's name from Daredevil. Styx, I think is what is it Styx or is it Stitch? I can't remember. He's the other blind guy that trains. Matt Murdock.
The older guy.
He you need to check this trailer out. Like he basically is like what it's like literally like 20-30 seconds long, and he's basically saying, why do you guys think you're what this city needs or something like that, and referring to like the 4 of them. It's like, you guys really think you're going to be able to do this?
So you got to imagine the 4 are probably Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, and Iron Fist, right?
Right, that's the 4, and I think that's the initial 4. For all we know, Daredevil or Punisher could be part of that story. On IMDb, they really don't even have.
They don't even know. Yeah.
It only lists 6 people, and that's the 6 people that we know. The other two are like characters from Jessica Jones. So
Well, maybe by Comic-Con next year we might have some idea, because I assume the Defenders will probably be late next year if it's.
Oh yeah, I'm sure we'll, like, this time next year, we're probably September. Like, we'll probably have a better idea of what the Defenders are going to be all about. So
yeah, and I like that they're kind of doing the same thing that they've done with the Avengers, where they're basically setting up this is phase 1, of the MCU for Netflix. And then we're gonna, eventually roll into, and they've done it with minor characters too. That's the thing. Like, you got to imagine the Avengers are built on the back of Iron Man, somebody that people aren't, at least natively aren't that familiar with before the movies. And then they're just
2000.
Like, they're like, hey,
nobody knew who Iron Man was.
Yeah, here's Daredevil, who you're vaguely familiar with as that one Ben Affleck thing, and then here's Jessica Jones that nobody knows anything about.
Nobody.
Yeah, like there's probably like a handful of people in the whole world that have read that comic. I'm not one of them, so the only thing I know about him is what my coworker told me about it. So, and I gotta say, I hate Jennifer Garner, and she was a terrible Elektra. But the Elektra they got for this Daredevil series, she's not like amazing by any stretch of the imagination, but she's far more interesting.
Yeah, no, I
written.
definitely agree. I'm not looking for a Elektra standalone series.
No.
I mean, if Netflix made one, I'm sure it would be good. I'm sure I'd probably watch it, but it's not something I think I'm asking for.
Yeah.
So,
and for those of you listening, if you haven't checked this out, you can get a Netflix subscription for like, I don't know, $9
like
a month.
$10.
Yeah, $10 a month. And you can, these shows are quick reads. They're quick watches. They go through really quickly. They're real good, and it'll be. I always hold Breaking Bad as the gold star standard.
Right.
I don't know. We'll see how things go, but I would be surprised if there's ever a show better than Breaking Bad. However, I will say that these shows, Daredevil and Jessica Jones, being that they're only 1 or 2 seasons in, are really good. Really, really good. And they're maybe on, and it's kind of weird, Kristen Ritter's in both of them, right? It's just occurring out like, oh yeah,
true.
The one that's in Jessica Jones, this other amazing show. She's just like, yeah, I had a part in Breaking Bad.
Well, it's obvious, isn't it? She's what made Breaking Bad so good.
I was a main plot point in Breaking Bad. Like, very crazy. So we'll see, how it goes, but it's exciting. They say that we live in the golden age of television, and I keep thinking in the back of my mind, okay, when is it going to end? Like, our show's going to go on being good forever? Probably not, right? At some point, there will be a point where we'll say, oh yeah, I was alive during the golden age of television. When is that going to end? Right now, I don't think there's an end to it, because there may be an end to the golden age of television as far as your, ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox goes. But, things are living strong, and especially since we've got Game of Thrones coming to a close, the year after this. I think that really good TV series are still living on through AMC, through Netflix primarily. So,
yeah, I have to agree with you, man.
We'll see.
I think I'm so glad that Marvel decided to take this route, because this could have easily never happened.
Oh, it could have been a disaster too, by the way.
Yeah, that too.
They could have easily have done this very poorly. In which case, we would never have been talking. We've been talking about how terrible. We'd be having an episode trying to discuss which was worse, Daredevil season 1 or the Daredevil movie.
That's true.
But anyway, well, that's. I feel like we covered it pretty well. You have anything else you wanted to add?
No, man. I feel like I'm excited to see what Luke Cage offers. I think it's going to be a good series, as well as Iron Fist.
Yeah.
So yeah, well, it'd be interesting. We'll have to do a follow-up episode maybe in a year from now after Defenders.
Yeah, we definitely will. And again, thanks to all you guys listening. It's been 150 episodes, which is mind-bending. It's been good.
I looked it up. 150 episodes. I came on episode 75.
70. It was that far in? Dang.
Yeah. So we've done half of them together.
Yeah. Well, we've done more than that, because you did all of these standalone, the Walking Dead series and the Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
you did all of those.
for sure. And prior to coming on, I think I had done a handful of shows just as a guest. But yeah, it's been a good 150, man.
Yeah, it's been fun. Thanks for you guys for listening. Make sure you check out the other great shows on the Bat Squad Network. Knights of the Octagon. the other Mike and Mike show, ADO Radio, Fantasy Football Guy. We're all going to be back in a couple of weeks. You know, we're going to take a little break, get back into the grind of fall and everything like that. But we'll be back. We'll be doing live shows on the Bat Squad Network. It's going to be a good time. Really looking forward to it. Can't wait to do 150 more of these for you guys. I had a chance. I didn't tell you this, Will, but I had a chance to talk to one of our listeners. Hit me up via Facebook, Sir Ninja Turtles, and he switched over to PlayStation View based on our recommendation.
Oh wow!
And canceled Dish, and he sent me a kind of like a hey, thanks for doing that, because he's really been digging PlayStation View, and I don't know about you, but I still am too.
I'm still enjoying it as well. I mean, I feel like the luxury with it is if I don't feel like I'm watching very much of it, turn it off. Yeah,
cancel. No big deal. No big deal at all. And with, you know, they announced a week or two ago that they're adding NFL Red Zone come week 1 of the NFL. So that's really the only thing that was missing from it was NFL Red Zone, because that's all I watch anyway. So
yeah.
It'd be nice if they could add, you know, Pac-12 network, but you know, well, it's going to take, you know, it might take
due time.
Yeah, it'll get there. So in the meantime, I'll keep enjoying my, you know, basically third of a cable bill. So
yeah.
Been good. Well, thanks everyone for listening. Again, you can check us out on the Bat Squad Network. We are an exclusive show on the Bat Squad Network. If you're hearing this, then we changed our RSS feed a couple weeks ago. If you're hearing this, then our RSS feed has updated on however you're listening to us. So iTunes and everything automatically switched over and all that. So thanks for sticking around. Thanks for listening to us. Make sure you check out the other shows. And until next week, I'm Ryan.
I'm Will.
Live long and prosper, and may the force be with you. BatsquadNetwork.com.
You've been listening to Geek Revolution Radio, hosted by William Hatton and Ryan Bennett. For more information about Geek Revolution Radio, go to geekrevolutionradio.com. Feel free to interact with the show at facebook.com/geekrevolutionradio. The intro song is called What You Want. The credit song is Riptide. Both are composed by Kevin MacLeod, licensed under Creative Commons. The views and opinions expressed on Geek Revolution Radio are those of the panelists and do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of our sponsors. Thank you for listening.
This show is a proud member of the Bat Squad Network. For this and other great shows, head over to batsquadnetwork.com.